The wealthy understand that money is a tool for leverage. They use money to create more money. They use money to buy assets that produce income. They use money to buy systems that automate income. They use money to buy opportunities that multiply income. They use money to buy skills that increase income. They use money to buy time that allows them to focus on high-value activities. They use money to buy freedom that allows them to make better decisions. They use money to buy leverage that accelerates their growth. Let's talk about freedom. The wealthy understand that the real goal is freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to choose where you live. Freedom to choose who you work with. Freedom to choose what projects you take on. Freedom to choose how you live your life. Freedom to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. Freedom to build a life that aligns with your values. Freedom to create your own path. Money is simply the tool that buys that freedom. Let's talk about options. The wealthy understand that money gives you options. Options to invest. Options to travel. Options to build. Options to grow. Options to take risks. Options to pivot. Options to explore. Options to say no. Options to say yes. Options to walk away. Options to start over. Options to reinvent yourself. Options to create opportunities. Options to design your life. Money gives you options. And options give you power. Let's talk about control. The wealthy understand that money gives you control. Control over your time. Control over your decisions. Control over your environment. Control over your future. Control over your opportunities. Control over your lifestyle. Control over your direction. Control over your destiny. Money gives you control. And control gives you peace. Let's talk about peace. The wealthy understand that money gives you peace of mind. Peace knowing your bills are paid. Peace knowing you have savings. Peace knowing you have investments. Peace knowing you have options. Peace knowing you have freedom. Peace knowing you're not trapped. Peace knowing you're not dependent on anyone. Peace knowing you're building a future. Peace knowing you're in control. Money gives you peace. But only when you use it strategically. Let's talk about how you can copy this mindset. Start by setting financial goals based on outcomes, not numbers. Instead of saying, I want $10,000, say, I want enough passive income to cover my rent. Instead of saying, I want $100,000, say, I want enough investments to replace my job. Instead of saying, I want $1 million, say, I want enough freedom to live life on my terms. When you shift your goals from numbers to outcomes, everything changes. Your decisions change. Your habits change. Your mindset changes. Your strategy changes. Your life changes. Let's talk about purpose. When you set goals based on outcomes, you give your money purpose. You give your actions purpose. You give your decisions purpose. You give your sacrifices purpose. You give your discipline purpose. You give your journey purpose. Purpose is powerful. Purpose keeps you focused. Purpose keeps you motivated. Purpose keeps you disciplined. Purpose keeps you consistent. Purpose keeps you moving forward even when it's hard. Let's talk about clarity. When you set goals based on outcomes, you gain clarity. You know exactly what you're working toward. You know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what steps to take. You know exactly what to avoid. You know exactly what to prioritize. You know exactly what to sacrifice. You know exactly what to build. Clarity is power. Clarity is direction. Clarity is momentum. Clarity is confidence. Let's talk about strategy. When you see money as a tool, you build strategy. You think long-term. You plan ahead. You make smart decisions. You invest wisely. You avoid emotional mistakes. You avoid impulsive purchases. You avoid unnecessary risks. You avoid distractions. You avoid anything that doesn't align with your goals. Strategy is what separates the wealthy from everyone else. Let's talk about discipline. When you see money as a tool, you become disciplined. You stop wasting money on things that don't matter. You stop chasing trends. You stop buying things to impress others. You stop making emotional decisions. You start investing. You start saving. You start building. You start planning. You start growing. Discipline is the foundation of wealth. Let's talk about identity. If you see money as the goal, you will always feel like you don't have enough. If you see money as a tool, you will always feel empowered. If you see money as the destination, you will always feel lost. If you see money as the vehicle, you will always feel in control. If you see money as the prize, you will always chase it. If you see money as the tool, you will always use it wisely. Identity shapes your relationship with money. And your relationship with money shapes your financial future. Let's talk about emotional detachment. When you detach emotionally from money, you make better decisions. You stop panicking when the market drops. You stop chasing hype. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop feeling guilty about investing in yourself. You stop feeling ashamed of your financial situation. You stop letting money control your emotions. You start thinking clearly. You start acting strategically. You start building confidently. Emotional detachment is a superpower. Let's talk about long-term thinking. The wealthy think in decades, not days. They think in years, not weeks. They think about long-term growth, not short-term gratification. They think about compounding, not quick wins. They think about stability, not excitement. They think about freedom, not trends. Long-term thinking is what builds wealth. Long-term thinking is what creates stability. Long-term thinking is what produces results. Let's talk about compounding. When you use money as a tool, you allow compounding to work in your favor. You invest consistently. You reinvest your returns. You let your money grow. You let your assets multiply. You let time do the heavy lifting. Compounding is the magic behind wealth. Compounding is the engine that drives financial freedom. Compounding is the reward for patience and discipline. Let's talk about patience. When you see money as a tool, you become patient. You understand that wealth takes time. You understand that growth is slow at first. You understand that progress is invisible before it becomes obvious. You understand that small steps lead to big results. You understand that consistency beats intensity. You understand that the journey is long but worth it. Patience is the secret ingredient of wealth. Let's talk about confidence. When you see money as a tool, you become confident. You trust your decisions. You trust your strategy. You trust your discipline. You trust your ability to build. You trust your ability to grow. You trust your ability to create opportunities. Confidence comes from clarity. Confidence comes from strategy. Confidence comes from purpose. Confidence comes from seeing money as a tool. Let's talk about empowerment. When you see money as a tool, you feel empowered. You feel in control. You feel capable. You feel focused. You feel motivated. You feel strong. You feel like you can build the life you want. You feel like you can create your own path. You feel like you can shape your future. Empowerment is the result of a healthy relationship with money. Let's talk about transformation. When you shift your mindset from money is the goal to money is the tool, your entire life transforms. Your decisions transform. Your habits transform. Your goals transform. Your identity transforms. Your future transforms. You stop chasing money and start building wealth. You stop reacting and start planning. You stop surviving and start thriving. You stop hoping and start creating. You stop dreaming and start doing. You can start today. You can start by shifting your goals. You can start by setting outcome-based goals. You can start by saying, I want enough passive income to cover my rent. You can start by saying, I want enough investments to replace my job. You can start by saying, I want enough freedom to live life on my terms. You can start by seeing money as a tool. You can start by using money strategically. You can start by building a future that gives you options, freedom, leverage, and control. This shift changes everything. Here's a big one: the wealthy rarely use their own money to build wealth. This is one of the most misunderstood principles in the world of finance, and yet it's one of the most powerful. When you look at how wealthy people operate, you'll notice something surprising: they don't rely on their own cash to grow. They rely on leverage. They rely on investors, banks, partnerships, and systems. They use other people's money not recklessly, but strategically. They understand that money is a tool, and the smartest way to use that tool is to multiply it through leverage. Meanwhile, the average person believes they must save every dollar, avoid debt at all costs, and only invest when they have enough of their own money. This mindset keeps them stuck. It keeps them small. It keeps them limited. It keeps them from taking advantage of opportunities that could change their lives. The wealthy understand that if you only rely on your own money, you will grow slowly. But if you learn to leverage other people's money responsibly, you can grow exponentially. Let's break this down. The wealthy use investors.